Hey everyone, I'm Stefanie O'Connell Rodriguez, and today I'm joined by Christine Roberts, the head of student lending at Citizens Bank, and Ray Martinez, president and co-founder of education tech company Everfi. Citizens and Everfi have joined forces to build and launch College Bound Citizens, a digital course that empowers students to make wise financial decisions when planning for college. So often we find ourselves saying, I wish someone told me that when I was younger. Well, today, we're going to chat about the 5 things we wished we knew before paying for college. I think we can all agree that planning for the future can be a really daunting task, but especially students facing tough decisions about life after high school. Christine, why should students be talking about this with their families?
You know, it's such a great question and so important for families. We actually call it the other talk you have to have with your kids, right? If you don't, they could truly be, saddled with a large amount of debt that could affect them for 20 years. And so being open not only about your finances as a parent, but as the finances of your family, and then helping them understand, how much does college cost? What are your expectations for their contribution? And then what's realistic for them to spend?
So let's talk about the cost and how we can manage the cost. What are some of the different ways students and families can pay for college?
Number one, filling out the FAFSA. There is federal aid that is available. And so all students, for the most part, are granted a Stafford loan, be it subsidized or unsubsidized. It's actually a very low interest loan and is actually a great way for them to start a credit file. We always say you can't have credit until you have credit. From there are additional federal loans. So there's a Parent Plus loan that is completely on the parent. There are private student loans. And then I would say what's most important is there are tons of grants and scholarships out there to make sure that families can go out and look for free money.
We believe that there really is a missing layer in education in terms of how we are equipping students and families with the knowledge that they need to navigate this process. So the College Bound Citizens program does a great job of breaking down all the different payment options for students. And we really wanted to ground it in a way that would resonate with digital natives. So creating real world applications that allow them to explore, how do I research scholarships? How do I fill out the FAFSA form? So a program like this can at least equip every student, every family, regardless of where they live, access to this knowledge.
We're talking about ways to pay for college. Let's talk about coming out the other side, the return on investment that we get for our education.
What's your life expectation post-graduating school? And are you ready academically, number one, to take on the challenges that go with college and the amount of money that you're going to be spending for it?
You are arguably making one of the most important financial decisions of your life, and it's really going to set yourself up for success, not 10, 20, 30 years down the road. You'll be in the workforce for 30 years.
Christine, any thoughts on how students and families can talk about budgeting more holistically around college expenses?
What we're really trying to encourage families, both I think through College Bound Citizens, but just in general, is to have these conversations early and often, right? And help them set up the accounts, work with them on how to manage their money the right way, because when they leave and they go to college and they're taking care of their money themselves, if they already have that foundation, they're going to be in so much better place.
College is a major investment, and it's not necessarily something that all families are going to have the cash for up front, and so financing is a major piece of the equation. There's a lot of dialogue now around, man, I really just wish I knew this when I was taking out my loans. I wish I understood XYZ. And so I think, what is the XYZ we all should be understanding?
First of all, like anything, right, borrow smartly, right? Take out what you need and not more, right? And so it may mean a trade-off between your number one choice and your number two, if number two is going to give you more money to get there with less debt. Or average recent college graduate comes out with 6 loans, right? So making sure you're on top of your finances, consolidate into one, and then as soon as you are able, you should look to refinance those loans at a lower interest rate.
I think it's really critical, back to the budgeting conversation we were having earlier, that students really budget for where they're going to live, what kind of car they're going to drive, their rent, their monthly payment, their utilities. I mean, these things are critically important, or you're going to be eating macaroni and cheese every day.
So where can we find more information about these specific resources and the tools in this course?
Said we're going to be in 500 schools starting in November. We're really excited for families who get to participate. And for those who are in that program, as well as if you're not in one of those 500 schools, we have citizens.everfi.com is our family resource center. And there's a lot of this information in there. There's tools, there's, discussion topics for families. I think they'll really find it a very helpful tool to facilitate, what's next.
Well, these are wonderful tools and insights, and I thank you both, Ray and Christine, for sharing them. Thanks so much.